for this review, Doom: The Dark Ages. I beat it a couple days ago, and so I can gather my full thoughts and just kind of talk. And this isn't scripted in any way, it's just kind of me talking about just things I noticed, and other things I'd like to talk about involving the game, but not necessarily about the game. So, first things first. I'd say I'm a normal, average fan of Doom. The first Doom I played was Doom 3 back in middle school, and I loved it. Thought it was hard. I loved the horror type game. Thought it was fine. And then when Doom 2016 came out, I decided to finally, I was like, okay, it looks really good from the trailers. I'll play it. Thought it was really fun. I'm pretty sure I've beaten at least once. All these games, mind you, I always play them on easy first, and then work my way up. And so Doom 2016, I thought was really fun. There was the glory kills, the cool weapons, the cool sci-fi nature. It felt like a reboot of Doom, basically, but I guess technically it's a sequel to the original in a way, which is fine. It was just very fast-paced. For a long time when I was playing it, I kept trying to press like square to reload, and I thought, it bugged me. But looking back, it really is kind of nice that you don't have to worry about a reload mechanic, because that's what was nice about every Doom going forward, basically. And then I played Doom Eternal, and I've actually not beaten Doom Eternal. I've not played the DLC. I found the platforming aggravating enough that I just never beat the game. Now that's you could say that's totally a skill issue. Realistically, that's on me. Clearly, I didn't vibe with the game. That's just my opinion. I am in no way saying the game is bad or anything. What I played, I think I got probably 4 or 5 hours in. I enjoyed. It just got to a point where the chain hook platforming segments annoyed me to death. And so when I saw the trailer for Doom: The Dark Ages, I was thinking, okay, because this was last year, and I even, live streamed it for the Xbox showcase. I thought, wow, they're really changing it up. Now, it's not just a gun, you can actually have a shield to throw, and block, and parry, so it's a new system. And that's one thing I can appreciate about these new Doom games. Every single one has something different from the last. Doom 2016 was your reintroduction into the franchise, pretty normal. Eternal added the platforming stuff, and then this one adds the shield and actually takes away dashing and other things, so it kind of changes up the gameplay. That being said, since I didn't have the best time with Eternal, I was hesitant on whether or not I actually wanted to buy this game day one, but as the gameplay trailers and just story trailers came out, I was sold, and so I bought it day one. And honestly, I'm glad I did, because here's the thing. I see a lot of people, because I'm on a Doom Facebook page, and I see a lot of people just complaining every single minute of the day. It's honestly a little crazy to have so much free time that you go on the internet and just cry and moan that you hate this game, or this game isn't like, the older games, or blah blah blah. If you want to have fair criticism, sure, but please articulate that in a little bit better thing than wah wah wah, I don't like game, wah wah wah. You know what I mean? And so this game, Doom: The Dark Ages, is perfect for someone like me. Like, I'm open to playing a lot of different games. I'm not really a fan of platforming, like, even for older games, really. It's just not for me. What I thoroughly enjoyed about this game is I can sprint. I can't dash, which kind of sucks, but it's just, I got the shield. I've got different melee weapons, cool guns, the medieval fantasy. Everything played out as much as someone like me, I feel like would love a game like this. The cutscenes, the story, the setting, everything was so cool. You have a medieval fantasy alien setting, phenomenal. Because to a point, it is like, well, how many times can we just keep making the same Doom game where it's, I'm in a facility and demons from hell are attacking. I have to stop them again. So I felt it added a little bit something more new, really adding to the lore of the world, because Eternal sets up so much with the makers and stuff that seeing it now in this game really just expands on it. And I'm honestly excited to see what kind of story DLC they come up with and how we see the Doom Slayer from where he is right now to then being in the crypt sarcophagus thing in Doom 2016. But I had a blast playing this game. And yes, I played it on the easiest difficulty. I'm playing it on the next difficulty now, going through it again. It almost, here's the thing. It almost feels kind of like a game from 10 years ago or even the Xbox 360 era. But that is not a problem for me. The dragon sections were fun. I won't lie, they're pretty basic and simple. There's 2, I think, turret sections. There's a few sections where you get to play in a giant mech, which is great. So I feel that they gave you a little bit of everything and just made the game more accessible for more people. Because like you look at like a Dark Souls and people might say, oh, ooh, like it's just not for me. And okay, they won't necessarily say it's a bad game. They just go, it's not for me. And you could probably say that about Doom Eternal. But I think Doom the Dark Ages is more open for a general audience, which I'm fine with. Because now I can go tell my friends, and really just anyone I know who plays video games, like, hey man, give it a try. It's on Games Pass. I'm just telling you, try it for a little bit. Getting into the game itself, I will say, right from the beginning, for me at least, it was very confusing because it doesn't take place on Earth, but I was confused where it was taking place because it's like a town on a planet, and I wasn't really entirely sure what the planet was. And so, perhaps it's in the codex, journal pages you can pick up. I didn't look through most of them. I looked through a couple real quick, but it was kind of difficult trying to figure out, okay, I know this takes place in the past, but where is it taking place? Because it's like humans and the human sentinels, but not on Earth, I believe. But it throws you right into the mix. Hell's armies are invading, and the makers, like the angelic aliens, have control of the Doomslayer. And so they send him down to basically, be the cleaner guy, wipe out all the demons. And so you get a nice, tutorial level. It really shows you, how to do everything. And as you progress, you get more parts to your shield, more guns to unlock. There's alt firing modes for each gun, which is very nice. It definitely reminded me of Dead Space, how every gun has an alt mode, and so it helped kind of change up the gameplay, although realistically you'll probably be using 2 or 3 of the entirety of the weapons and just kind of get a good, synergy going. But you are introduced basically to the Slayer, where the Slayer's at the moment, and the tutorial on how to play the game, and it goes from there. And I think they do a good job of showing just enough to get the story at hand going, and leading just enough for what seems like a sequel game or DLC. But I really appreciate that the game isn't inherently just we take place on like a station or something. Something you'll notice with this game is there is a nice variety of maps. So in the beginning, you're in what looks kind of like a medieval town, and then you go to a station, and then there's a foresty area, then there's more of like an ancient castle area, mystical H.P. Lovecraft kind of watery area, really changing the vibes as the game goes along. And so it never overstays its welcome. in a map feeling like, oh my god, it's just the same thing over and over again. And just like with, you know, all the other Doom games, I think a little bit more in this one. There's all kinds of secrets and items to go out of your way to find. You don't have to find them. If you want to, you can. So there's toys to collect, codex pages, weapon upgrade items, because you can use gold to upgrade your weapons, and you can find gold just laying around or in chests, but you also need rubies from a ruby necklace, which are tied to little mini games to then upgrade your weapon even more. And then finally, to get the best upgrade, you'll have to find these purplish crystals, which are also part of another mini game. And the map it's still the same 3D map, easy to read. Now, something I will say about the map I don't like is there will be locked doors with which you will need to find keys for. It doesn't mark the door area. So when you look at the map and you get a key, you have to kind of just base it off where are there still unchecked secrets, and I think there's a door there. I really wish they would show you where all the locked doors you found were, because it would make it easy than having to keep running back like, oh, is that the place? I can't remember. But yeah, you know, you'll spend more time if you want to do 100% completion or just help build the Slayer up by finding the gold, the ruby, the purple diamond thing. And so I like doing it. I usually don't care to do that all the way in games, you know, to sit there and just scour the map nonstop. Because, you know, at some point, puzzles like that can be frustrating. I remember in Doom Eternal, a lot of the puzzles frustrated me, and again, you can say skill issue, that's fine. And so I just wouldn't do them. In this one, I 100% completed almost every single map, and the ones I didn't, I will be going back and doing that later. So it was just a nice little mini game to kind of take you off the, okay, I just intensely fought and killed all these demons in the map. I'm going to go look around now for treasures, you know, secret things. The toys are cool, so I've been wanting to collect all of them. And I think by the time I beat the game by doing all those side activities, it was about 18 hours, I think. You know, I really took my time. I didn't feel like I was rushing anything. And so, I mean, I'd say you're getting a decent amount of time in. I know a lot of people are complaining about the price point for what you get, and I understand, you know, it's different for everybody, because people are also complaining there's not a multiplayer mode, which I never played the multiplayer mode in the Doom games, so I don't know. I guess that was incredibly enjoyable. Perhaps they'll add it later. I don't know. I'd be curious how an online mode would work if, you know, everyone has a shield and stuff, and how that would work. But back to the game itself, I think it's a great, you know, single player game. But again, we don't have a multiplayer mode. It's just a single player game. I think it just works very well. You know, going back to the weapons, because I just went over the side content stuff. You have alt modes for every weapon. So you start out with, you know, a normal shotgun, and then you unlock the super shotgun, the double barrel, or you have what seems kind of like a needler from Halo, but the alt mode is that instead of it firing super fast, it fires single bolts, more like a bolt launcher. Or you'll have a grenade launcher whose alt mode is to be a rocket launcher. And so it really helps kind of vary up how you go along fighting demons, because there's also things like, you know, you get like a plasma gun, basically like an electricity gun, and there's plenty of enemies with shields, and it wipes their shields out incredibly fast. So you hit them with that, bam, switch over to another gun, bam. You know, what I would do is I use the electricity gun, get their shields down real quick, and then immediately switch back to the automatic bolt launcher and just wipe them out real quick. And there's basically not the standard glory kills in this game. So in the older games, any enemy, you just like whack him enough times, they'd glow, you could do a glory kill. So the normal enemies in this game, there are no glory kills, they just die. The imps and everything above them, they do glow, but here's the thing. If you just hit them, there is no glory kill. You just punch or kick them. You have to jump up in the air and then hit the melee button, and you'll do a little glory kill where you're cutting something in half or chopping its head off or stomping it. I do wish there was a little bit more variety, because I noticed the more I would just kill a cyber demon or a mancubus, it was just the same animation over and over again. You jump up in the air and then just cut them down the middle in half. I wish they would get a little bit more creative with it, just because these are the main enemies that you're able to do the shield saw glory kills on. Just because there isn't more glory kills in general, it doesn't really bother me that much. People were complaining that it's really, really bugging them. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I do wish, and to be fair, the older games, as far as I remember, didn't really do this, but I thought it would be kind of cool if they added in, even though you still have to do aerial glory kills, if you could do it with your weapon, because there are some cool looking weapons in this game. There's the Skull Crusher, which crushes up skulls and shoots them. I figured there would be something cool you could do there. There's the Chain Shot, where it's just a huge ball on a chain that shoots out of your gun. I felt you could do a bunch of cool kill animations with that. So that would have been cool, that each weapon at least has one kill animation of its own. But maybe that's asking too much, maybe that's nitpicky. It was just something I thought about. Now, going into the enemies, for the most part, they do basically die the same. You can find yourself in a lot of cases, you have your shield saw, which is a nice addition in my opinion, because now the game is based off parrying and stunning. So what you can do is, once you early in the game unlock the actual saw part of your shield, you can throw it at an enemy, and for most enemies, except a couple, when you throw it, it actually stabs into them and stuns them. And so while it's stunning them, you can just shoot and unload bullets into them, eventually to get them to glow, and do your glory kill, or just kick them, punch them, whatever. Or an enemy, most enemies that shoot projectiles or come running at you, whenever they do that, if they're green, the projectiles or just the enemy itself is green, glowing green, you can actually parry those by pressing block at the right time, which stuns them for a little bit. Now, what I like to do is like a Hell Knight. When it's running at me and it's jumping in the air glowing green, I'll parry it, shoot it a few times, maybe even kick it, go back, and as it's trying to charge at me again, I'll throw my shield, stun it, finish it off with a super shotgun, and it usually obliterates it or gets it to glow where I can do my glory kill. And so there's things like that that you want to think about. You have to learn, okay, which enemies die super fast, which enemies can I stun, because I'm pretty sure the Cyber Demon, every time I've tried to stun him, it just bounces the shield off him. So he is one that you will be parrying a lot. He has a sword swipe that you can parry, and he's got a stomp that you can parry. But with the Cyber Demon, me personally, hit him enough with a super shotgun, he's down. And so you just have to be aware, because they're not always also doing parryable, if that's even a word, attacks. So you can't dash. So you have to jump out of your way while making sure you're shooting these other enemies, and then parry what you can, because some projectiles will be half of the projectiles red. Like the Mancubus will shoot a projectile, and it's like 3 dots with a laser wall in between, but one of the dots is green and you can parry it. So you have to move yourself in position to parry that. And early on, they don't really have armor, the demons, but by the middle and end game, they're all armored up, and so the armor has to be shot at enough that it starts glowing hot red, and when you swing your shield or shoot them enough times, it'll actually break their armor so you can actually attack them correctly. And so again, when you're parrying the green projectiles, it starts destroying their armor and degrading it. And so you have to think, okay, I'm trying to run around, they're armored, this guy's doing this attack, and there's also random zombies. I've got really, you cannot sit still. You are constantly moving around. You have to be looking all around you 360, because here's another thing that can suck, and it's been brought up by quite a bit of people, is there are just random zombie level enemies, and what happens is you happen to not see it because they kind of blend in with the environment. Bam! You're about to die, and you're not paying attention. One of them swipes at you once, you die, and it never told you what killed you or where it came from, and so you're going, wait, what happened? And so they start spawning these littler enemies, these little zombies, where it's hard to see, and you're running around, kaboom, they hit you once or twice, you're dead. So that can be a problem, but just be aware, never stop moving. The moment you stop moving, you're either going to get cornered, or they're all just going to jump on you and kill you in seconds. So just be aware of that. But there's just a way for you to go through the combat basically in your own way. I mean, hey, there's a crowd of people, use your grenade launcher if you want, or the rocket launcher, or maybe you want to use your electricity gun, and if you upgrade it enough, kabam, it starts shocking all of them. Okay. And so I like that there's a variety with the enemies and the weapons to just flow together, that you kind of get to play your own way in essence. And when it comes to melee weapons, you start out with your fists, and then you move on to a flail, like a morning star, and then right at the end you unlock a ginormous, like, cleaver, basically. And the cleaver does the max damage, but takes the longest to recharge. It's melee, because you have to actually find melee pickups for your melee meter to go back up. And so, honestly, I just stayed with the flail. I figured I never had a problem, and I never had an issue with it running out where I couldn't use it, and it recharged itself fast enough that I could continually keep using it without it feeling like it's stopping the combat, or, you know, I'm just having to wait. You could say the gameplay is very repetitive, and I've heard that with many things, but in essence, every game is basically repetitive in some way. Yes, in this game, you're basically just going to go to each map and figure out how to kill the demons without dying. That's what it is. But the fun comes from how you do it, how badass you feel, and just the amount of enemies they throw at you. And by the end, it's a lot. It's almost comically tense. And I was feeling it. I mean, there were a couple times where I died, and luckily in this game, I don't remember if it was like this in the old game, you can find life sigils. They are another part of the secret stuff you can find around the map. You can carry 3 at a time, and so whenever you die, you can use a life sigil and come back to life without having to restart. Now, I don't know, you know, on the hardest difficulty, Ultra Nightmare or whatever, if you can still use life sigils, because I know in that if you die, it restarts, I think, from the beginning of the game, or from the beginning of the chapter or something. So that, you know, maybe I'll try that one day. And going back to the game, there's a whole modifiers section. So you want to play on the easiest difficulty, okay, fine, but you can modify parry window, literally all kinds of things to modify the game to be how you want it to be, because from what I've seen, a lot of people complain that the game is too slow. I felt it was fine for me. I felt it was just fast-paced enough. But people will turn on the speed slider so that the game actually runs much quicker. That's not really for me. But hey, those modifiers exist for a reason, so you can cater the game to be exactly how you want it to be, which is nice. I appreciate them doing that. I couldn't imagine trying to play the game that fast where my eyes would have to move that quick. That's just me, but I enjoy that they allow that. And again, they have, I think, 6-7 different difficulties. That's, you know, appreciated, because they could have easily been like, no, you're going to play on this hard setting that we're not going to change. But you can play on the easiest difficulty. You're a fan of Doom, you just kind of want to have a more calm time, there you go. Or you want to do the challenge, get the golden skins, kabam, you play on the hardest difficulty, there you go. And another thing I would like to mention, and I laugh because the music in the game, the main menu, oh, the music hits great. It's phenomenal. The music throughout the game, for the most part, is very good. Just be aware you need to turn down the actual game noises, but leave music at 100% to hear it properly with what's going on. They have the in-game audio so loud, it's very kind of hard to hear the music, and it sounds like a faint background noise. So please adjust your audio so you can actually hear the music good. In my personal opinion, I thought a lot of the music worked fine. Was it, I guess, generic, metal music? Sure. Okay, yes, it's not Mick Gordon, but I wouldn't say it's this god-awful downgrade. People were saying the music is terrible, not even as close. It's like, for a Doom game, I would say it was serviceable. And if it bothers you that much, I guess turn something on Spotify. I don't know. Yes, Mick Gordon did a wonderful job for Doom and Doom Eternal. But the people who made the music for this game, they did a good job too. I really don't see what the problem is. And perhaps it's because I can just apparently enjoy a game, people like I don't understand. I thought the music worked well. It hit when it needed to be. I'm not going to sit here and look up every song, because the argument people had made was that, oh, well, I can name 10 songs from Doom Eternal because they were so good. Okay, congratulations to you, I guess. The only song I can think of is, Rip and Tear, and The Only Thing They Fear Is You, if that's even the name. But, I think the music is enjoyable. The beats hit while you're just ripping into demons and using your shield saw and killing them. I think it goes well together. So, I would be curious what other people think of the music, and without trying to just sit here and go, it's not Mick Gordon. Like, okay, you don't like the music? Tell me why. Was it written incorrectly? Were the beats too fast, too slow? Give me an actual reason why you think the music is so terrible. But enough about the music. I mentioned it earlier, but there are sections in the game where you play as a mech, the Atlan. And the scenes are very reminiscent of Pacific Rim. Great movie. And from what I read, there is a guy working on this game who worked on Pacific Rim, and that's why a lot of the shots and stuff seem so similar, which is great. I don't necessarily like that the Atlans can sprint, because you move so fast, it kind of takes away from it. So I personally choose not to sprint and just walk around. And the gameplay is very simple. It's just punch, 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 dodge, punch, 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 or sometimes stomp. That's it. And it's straightforward. It just guides you to the area. Done. I don't know if this would have been any better if it was played third person, where you could actually see your Atlan. Because you don't really see it that much in cutscenes, but they let you unlock skins for it. So, you can't really unlock guns. It's scripted, but they'll give you a gun. I thought it would have been cool if they would have dropped melee weapons for it and done a little bit more with the segments, because at the ending segment you get a little bit something new with the King Atlan, but up until then it's just the same kind of gameplay. So I do wish they did more with it, because I like the concept of it. And with the dragon sections where you're riding your dragon, I found it very fun. There's little side content things you can do, like shoot down other flying little things. Now, the only problem I have with that is that you are chasing these flying ships and shooting them down. They don't ever chase you. At least when I was playing, they don't. Maybe on a harder difficulty they do, but you're semi-timed, because eventually they will just disappear. But I thought what would have made it more fun, because you basically just hold sprint and fire, and there is no reloading, there is no overheating, so you can just keep holding the fire button on your dragon forever, and it keeps firing bullets. And you're just chasing this thing, and all right. It's fun enough, but I was hoping there would be where they actually will chase you and you have to defend yourself and just be a little bit more creative with how you're hunting down these other ships. There is a dodge mechanic just like for when you're playing as a Slayer, where turrets will shoot, normal lasers which you can dodge, but then they'll shoot green lasers, and the moment you dodge it, it supercharges your gun. There you go, you destroy it. I don't think it ever took me out of the game. It was just fun, but I had hoped that by the end they would change it up a little bit more, and they don't, sadly, with either the mech part or the dragon part. I don't think it ruined the game for me. I don't think it, made me angry where I'm like, ugh, I want to go back to playing as a Slayer. It was just a neat little thing that I wish they did more with, unfortunately. But I think it's neat, I can appreciate a game doing different things. And this one, honestly, felt completely different from Doom Eternal, and that's fine with me. This is probably, of the three, my favorite one. And I've already got right back into playing it, up the difficulty, and I'm just going to keep replaying it because it's just a fun game to play. And that's something with a game like this. It is not a turn your brain off and play kind of game. You have to really think about what you're doing in the game, because one wrong move, you're dead. And so, this isn't a haha, I just need a game to BS on while I'm doing other things. No. You are paying attention. Otherwise, you're going to have a bad time. So, if you're one of those people like me, I have a hard time trying to multitask if I'm focusing on a game. So, there were a couple times where I was on a call with friends trying to play this. I literally would have to just pause the game or stop where I'm at after I'm killing demons, or not talk to them while I'm doing it, because I'm so hyper focused on the game and ensuring I don't die, because you keep hearing that beep beep for your health going low, and it's a little stressing. And so it's like, okay, I have to focus. And so I appreciate that the game isn't just a hee BS, COD kind of game. It really does make you think on how to do the next move. But I think that's about it for the game. I think I covered just about everything I wanted to talk about. There are weapon upgrades, which I kind of mentioned, but, you use the gold to get weapon upgrades. You use those rubies and the purple diamonds to upgrade your weapons. I thought the music worked well. The mech and dragon sections were alright, but they could have done more. I like the look of the Slayer. I like the more of the lore stuff that they introduced. It was cool to see his face. Again, he doesn't talk, except for one part, one word. But they also introduced this cool thing by the end that I honestly had no idea of. I wasn't expecting, and it was very, very fascinating to see. It kind of reminded me of Dante's Inferno. So that is going to be it. And again, if you disagree with anything I say, let me know, but I would prefer you try to be civil and actually give good reasons to why we disagree, because it's frustrating when people come on here and just say like, yeah, you're wrong, dude. It's like, can you tell me why? I mean, ultimately these are just my opinions, I'm not saying my word is the law, but when people disagree with me, I would like to know why. I want to have that conversation. So I appreciate everyone who watches these videos, and until next time, I am out.